Okay, so back with another top 10 list. This one, I'm going to be honest, it's a list for me. It's a list that I'm going to have fun with, but maybe you guys will enjoy it as well. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jackson Kruger. The link is in the description, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, anyways, let's just jump into the list just so you guys know how it'll work. It's just top 10 Tampa Bay sports moments of all time. Obviously, I'm a Tampa Bay sports fan, as you can clearly see. So I figured this could be a fun list. And, I think a good thing to do also, maybe if you're watching this, is let me know what's the best moment in your, or maybe top three moments in your city's franchise history. That'll be a good way to sort of get you involved in this if you're not a Tampa Bay sports fan. And if you are, well, let's talk Tampa Bay sports. Starting off with number 10, I have one that is recent. In fact, four out of the top 10 are all going to be from the past 365 days because they've had a lot of success then. This is Scotty Miller's Hail Mary. Obviously Brady to Scotty Miller at the end of the NFC Championship game. It was such just like a dagger at the time where the Packers were already down. Then there's this Hail Mary, and Rodgers and the Packers, to their credit, nearly came back and won. And this Hail Mary kind of ended up being the difference. So that's why I have it as number 10. Also, I should mention, I'm simply talking about moments. So, the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl last year, that's not on here because it's not really one moment. It's an entire game. I'm simply talking about something that's like, okay, that just happened right now kind of thing. So that's why, just so you know how this list works. Number 9, I have Stamkos's goal. And it's crazy that a guy who's had over 450 total goals in the regular season and playoffs, I can still just put Stamkos's goal, and you probably know what I'm talking about. It's the one in the bubble. This is another one that happened within the past year you have that crazy situation of he's out the whole year, finally comes back, which none of us knew if he would, gets to play in a game, scores a goal in I believe his second shift. He only plays under 3 minutes, but gets the goal and kind of has the crazy highlight. It's funny that he would go on to win the Stanley Cup and play in every game the following season, but his most memorable moment was from the year where he only played a few minutes in the entire playoffs. Pretty crazy. Number 8, another recent one, and we're already covering all three Tampa Bay sports. I should have mentioned I'm only talking about Rays, Bucks, and Bolts right here. I'm not talking about like the Rowdies or anything. I only watch those three sports. So, but yeah, Mike Brasso, game 5 home run against the New York Yankees. This was another just like wild moment of when you factor in the beef he had with Aroldis Chapman, and then finds a way to, a game 5, which, in the ALDS, if you're not a baseball fan, that's basically a game 7. That's, you win or lose in that spot, hits the home run, ends up eliminating the Yankees. It was in the 8th inning. If it was in the 9th inning, it probably is a little bit higher. It wasn't quite the end of the game at that point, so there was still a little bit of like, well, it's not over, but that pretty much ended up being it. So that's why it's on this list. Number 7, I have Aki touching second base. This was the send the Rays to the World Series in 2008. If you are not a baseball fan, again, starting in, the Rays came into existence in 1998. They had not had a winning season until 2008, when they not only have a winning season, but they, make it all the way to the World Series. They did lose in the World Series, but this was the play to send them there. It was just a ground ball to second baseman Aki, who got the ball, and instead of passing it to Bartlett, he decided to run it himself so he could keep the ball, which was kind of a very fun moment. Got the second out, got the final out, and they went to the World Series. And then I forget what happened. Can't quite put my hand on my head on. Can't put my head on it. What am I saying? Can't put my finger on it. Exactly what happened. Number 6, I have Dave Anderchuk lifting the cup. This is, Anderchuk, he was the captain for the Tampa Bay Lightning back in 2004. He was currently in, I believe it was his 22nd year as a pro. He was in his 40s. Again, Tampa Bay sports love their guys in their 40s. And, he had never won a Stanley Cup. So him finally lifting it after all those years, it was a very cool feeling. And again, it was the first Stanley Cup the Lightning had won, only the second championship Tampa Bay had won. So absolutely, that was a very cool moment. It wasn't quite, another guy lifting a cup. We'll get to that in a second, but it was still very cool. Number 5, Evan Longoria, game 162, walk-off home run after the Rays were down 7-0 in the 8th inning, looking like they might be eliminated, end up coming back largely through Longoria, hitting a 3-run home run. Dan Johnson ties the game. The Red Sox would go on to lose their game, meaning all the Rays had to do was win to go to the playoffs. Evan Longoria hits the walk-off home run, and just chaos ensues. One of the more unbelievable moments that's I think ever happened in sports in general, and especially in Tampa Bay sports. And what a moment it was. If we're talking about just pure games, that might be number one. But in terms of moments, that's still really high in top 5. Number 4, I have Marty St. Louis, Game 6 overtime winner in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, it's hard to get too much crazier than this, other than if it was Game 7. You have this Game 6 overtime winner where the Tampa Bay Lightning, if they give up one more goal, they lose and the season's over. Not just their season, the entire NHL season. And, the next season didn't happen. So there have been no hockey for a while. Where, there was that whole controversial, was the puck in with, midway through the third period. I think there was 5 minutes left. I don't think it was in, personally. Again, I'm biased. It seems pretty clear it wasn't in, or at the very least, there's not enough evidence to overturn that call, I would say, personally. But again, am biased here. But then Marty St. Louis, and it was actually in double overtime, early on in double overtime, gets the goal, sends us to Game 7, where, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning would go on to win 2-1. Fedotenko scoring 2 goals, and then Andreychuk would lift the Stanley Cup. So, absolutely awesome moment and belongs on this list. Number 3, I have Derek Brooks's pick 6. This was the pick 6 to win the Super Bowl. We were up, I believe, 14 at the time. So it was, the Raiders were making a push. They were trying to make a comeback, and this was just the nail in the coffin. This just said, no, we're not losing this game. I really believe the actual quote from Gene Deckeroff, the Buccaneers radio announcer, was, "There it is, the dagger's in, the Bucs are going to win the Super Bowl," because that was how it felt. And of course, it being Derek Brooks, the Buccaneer, was just that much cooler. So it's just incredible. And hey, you're winning the first championship in Tampa Bay sports history. That's got to be a top 3 moment. Number 2, I have one from literally the most previous game played before that one. The NFC Championship game, Rondé Barber's pick 6. And it might seem a little bit weird to give the NFC Championship game clinching pick 6 ahead of the Super Bowl clinching pick 6, but a couple things. One is I actually don't think that is the case, because it was against the Eagles, who the Buccaneers could never get past the Eagles. So this was finally them beating the Eagles. And also, it was a closer game. The Bucs were only down 10 at this point, and the Eagles had the ball inside the 20s. So, there's about 3-4 minutes left. The Eagles were going to make it a 1-score game even if they don't get the touchdown. So the fact that Barber was able to not only get the interception, but return it all the way, make it 17 points, and go from a close game to a game that's over and send us to the Super Bowl, where, it seemed like that was the real Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game. That's why I have it ahead of Brooks's pick 6. And number 1, I have Steven Stamkos lifting the Stanley Cup. This is for the first time, obviously, and it was just such a moment. Stamkos appears twice on this list. He's the only guy to appear twice on this list, and he certainly earned it. And they were both in the same season as well. Him being able to lift the Stanley Cup after a decade of heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. He was, 2011 with the Bruins losing Game 7. He was there. He took a puck to the face, came back wearing a cage, only to watch his team not be able to score a goal, and be on the ice while his team doesn't score a goal. Then in 2015, goes to the Stanley Cup final with, against Chicago, loses it in 6. 2016, losing in 7 in the conference final to the Penguins. 2018, losing in the conference final in Game 7 to the Capitals. Also, all 3 of these Game 7s, they scored a combined 1 goal in, so that wasn't great either, and that was a Jonathan Drouin goal against Pittsburgh. 2019, ties the record for most wins, swept out of the first round. So heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. He barely even got to play, but he did score that goal, and then finally gets to lift the Stanley Cup. Him and Hedman. Hedman deserves to be on there too. Maybe you could even argue Stamkos passing it off to Hedman, but I feel like that moment when there's the wide shot and he lifts it up and you finally know it's happened, it's over. just an incredible Tampa Bay sports moment. And that's got to be number one, I think. So, yeah, couple of honorable mentions. I thought about Randy Arozarena's game 7 home run against Houston, which kind of, we blew a 3-0 lead. I did not want to be known as a team that blew a 3-0 lead. So the fact that we were able to not let that happen, and that home run really kind of made us feel better. But again, it didn't like win it or anything because we won 5-1. But a first inning home run kind of just made things feel a little better. You also have Blake Coleman's buzzer beater, which of course that's, certainly an honorable mention, right? It was an incredible play. And once that happened, it did feel like, okay, we're going to win this cup. We're going to win the cup for a second straight year. It just felt like that was going to happen with the play. So that could have been, I thought about that as number 10, decided to go with Scotty Miller's Hail, the Hail Mary to Scotty Miller, the Hail Miller, I guess, if you want to call it that. I also had the Bucks winning their first game, which sounds a little silly to put as an honorable mention, but it actually, I don't think is, because if you think about it, I mean, they lost their first 24 games, or what was it, 26 games, excuse me. So to finally win a game and not go 0-14 for back-to-back seasons was just a huge sigh of relief for the Tampa Bay area. It was before I was born, but just, from what I understand. And then, of course, the Tom Brady trophy toss was also an honorable mention. I considered that one as well. Decided to go with only stuff that happened on a football field, a baseball field, or a hockey rink, but that could have been there as well. So yeah, again, fun video for me to make. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Let me know again. What are some of the moments, if you're not a Tampa Bay sports fan, what are some of the best moments from your city's franchise, or just some best moments you've seen? Also, if you are a Tampa Bay sports fan, what did I miss? Let me know. Or even if you're not, if you just follow sports, let me know what I missed. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.